And welcome into a huge closest to the win recap and Masters preview show. We've got Pro with us. How you doing, Drew?
Fantastic. Wonderful day. Happy Easter to all. Happy Masters week here when we hit a midnight 12 o'clock. So all around a good day, gentlemen.
Guru, how you doing, man?
First question I want to know, Drew, are you sober right now after Spieth won?
Today I was doing multiple family things, so my sobriety level is lower than it should be.
But we got time.
Right, yeah, there's still time, you know.
But
yeah.
7 days from now is a completely different story, right?
Yeah, no, it was super fun. You know, I was excited to see that.
Man, I tell you what, yeah. It went, and for all you guys that are watching, we chat off and on all day. You should see some of the ridiculous things we tweet and chat to each other about. A lot of it's just complete nonsense, and some of it we just ignore. Some of it we just we add on. So it's a lot of fun. But man, you know what? This is the first Sunday Spieth looked like the king. You know, he's been there all the time for the last 8 or 9 tournaments, and he kind of fell back on Sundays. Well, today he just took command because he had to, because Charlie Hoffman played well. What do you guys think about Charlie Hoffman's round bogey free?
You know, they've been at the Oaks since 2010, right? So 2018, Mullinex went 17 under over his last 54, and he ended up second because he was 2 over in the first round. Corey Connors went 17 under, and he won last year just because he was 3 under. Charlie Hoffman went 19 under his last 54, and you know that 8-shot difference between him and Spieth in the round one was just too much to overcome. And honestly, you could probably chop it down to the double bogey he made at 9, and then if you want to split hairs, either that bogey on 10 or the par 5 that he bogeyed on the back, and that's the tourney right there. Otherwise, he just blitzed everybody. But kudos to Jordan, man. He did what he had to do when he had to do it, and kept his foot on the gas and his the throttle down and his neck on the throat. So you know, bravo, long time coming.
Yeah. I mean, he had 7 birdies today, and
he went out and won it. He went out and won it, and that was the most impressive thing to me because you would think, you know, if he won and the field kind of came back to him a little bit, but no, he had to keep his foot down because, like you said, Charlie Hoffman, we say a lot of the times you can't lose. Well, you can't win on Thursday, but you can lose. Well, Charlie Hoffman really put himself behind the 8 ball, but then, I mean, 66, 65, 66 is pretty damn impressive. He gave Jordan everything he could handle. When he made that birdie on 16, it was like, okay, now we're in serious business here. So it was impressive from Jordan to go out and win it like he did. Only 1 bogey on the card today. But it was a fun golf tournament. They did not make it easy. I mean, Matt Wallace kind of made it easy, but Chucky Hoffman was not letting up at all.
No, and he made a lot of clutch par putts. I mean, he had 0 bogeys on the card, and he could have had it easily 3 or 4. And so yeah, congrats to both those guys. And both those guys were on our card. And so how about that? Win number 7 of the last 11. And just in case something would have happened, we had Hoffman at 35. And so that's a lot of fun. And hopefully folks are cashing with us. And we're also had quite a few good people already sending us messages about winning their DFS lineups and so forth. I did not win a GPP. I was on another sweat today. I started the day at 10th out of 47,000 in the 20K mini max, and I ended up 81st. But I had a 508 score. I'm pretty happy with a 508 score, and I cashed in 32 lineups today. So pretty happy with that. Guru, how'd you do today, man?
Well, you know, I had that Wallace ticket too. So I bought into Hoffman at 65 after the bogeys. So I had Hoffman at 65. I had Wallace at 110. And, you know, I even had Kuchar further down the board too. So I had all kinds of stuff working. I cashed in enough to clear a little bit. Nothing exciting, but yeah, I doubled down on Wallace and I doubled down on Hoffman. Had I flipped the script in the late showdown, it would have been a completely different story. But it's what I get, you know. You pick your position and you ride it out. And had I hedged, it would have been a little better Sunday. But you know, no complaints. but it's been a fun week all the way around. And, I've had some people reach out too. So the more we've been doing this, the more positive feedback, and people are watching, listening, and taking a couple of tips and pointers from all of us, which is great because, we all have different, good points to bring to the table, and hopefully that continues. And hopefully it's one of us, but if it's not one of us, hopefully it's somebody that listens or, listens to the cast or, picks up something from the article or just tweets something to us. And I'm sure all of us would reply back, but hit something really big. That would be nice. I'm looking forward to somebody just cranking something really big out, and I'll send you a case of beer too to celebrate, man. Just let me know.
We did have a big winner on our YouTube contest, and we had Bobby Platten. He predicted Jordan Spieth. He was the first one to predict Jordan Spieth, and so Bobby Platten, we will be reaching out to you. Congratulations!
Congrats, Bobby. That's awesome.
And we will be sending you an autographed photograph of Jordan Spieth, and now I just got to go get one and get it taken care of. But we're real excited. And for those of you guys that are watching right now, we do this every week. We put out a Tuesday night show, and that's our closest to the win official show. That's when we do all of our DFS plays and fades. We also talk about our outright winners and some prop bets and a lot of fun things like that. And when that show posts on Tuesday night, go to the show, watch the show, or turn the volume down. It doesn't matter. Go to the show on YouTube, leave a comment on who's going to win the Masters this week. And if that player wins and you're the first one in, you will receive an autographed photograph of that player holding up the Masters trophy or wearing a green jacket or some other kind of photograph that will be autographed by that player. It's a cool deal. Costs nothing to do. All we ask you to do is subscribe, like, and put a little comment down there who you think's going to win. And it goes a long way to help us out. We all put a little bit of effort into this thing, and we don't ask for much. So a little bit of kudos. Also, if you like what you hear, let us know that. And if you want to hear something else, or if there's something you want to hear about, let us know on that too. Any other final thoughts on Valero? I mean, any big surprises? Who missed the cut, made the cut? I was looking back at our plays and fades from last week, and I'll tell you this, Guru, you were on last week, man. I mean, we were talking about you on the Thursday night show, and I mean, all the guys that you had and all the guys that you faded were all right. I mean, you had Hideki and Spieth; they all made the cut. Finau didn't. You had Connors and Palmer, and you faded Answer. Answer still made the cut. You had Lanto Griffin, Zach Johnson, Chris Kirk. You faded Wise, but all the way down the line, and the one I loved the most was Whaley.
He hung around for a while. But, I guess the one thing I tend to do sometimes, if you like a guy one week and he really doesn't do enough to piss you off, there's no reason not to play him the second week, even if he drops down, especially in the model. And the difference between the two fields was enough to drop him a little bit, but I liked him enough last week. So, he maybe looked good for a little while, and then the course caught up to him. But, made the cut, scored some points, and that's okay. But, we had Spieth 8 and he won. We had Hoffman 7th and he got 2nd. Kirk was 11th and 6th, and Tringali was 4, but he got 9th. And then even Connors at 1 got tied for 14th, and Palmer was 5th. So, it blended together pretty nice. Hopefully, and you did pretty well with your lineup, putting things together. And hopefully there's a couple other folks out there maybe we haven't heard from yet that looked at the model and put together something really nice. But,
a lot of great lineups in our private Hammercast network chat. Kenneth is killing it. You know what Kenneth is killing it on? The nationality props. He plays Connors every week as the top Canadian. He plays the right guys, and he's cleaning house on that stuff. This week I did clean. I came close to a really, really, really big long shot, and that was my Kyle Stanley top 10. He finished 14th, 6 under. Hell of a good showing for a guy that was $6,200.
Heck yeah.
And so I was really, really hoping for that one. It didn't come through, but we did get the outright, and we did have so many good plays. And so the model is working, man.
To Ricky with the top 20 this week.
Hey, and we thought Ricky wasn't even going to make the damn cut. He went crazy on Friday, didn't he?
Yeah, man. He had a nice weekend.
Damn shame he's not in the Masters, though. That's all
I know. I mean, I guess we got to at least acknowledge him when he's on the face of the earth, because we haven't seen him in a long time.
We do, because I'm guilty, and so is Pro, because we both said he was going to be trunk slamming after his round on Thursday. We said, hey, Friday night he's going to be trunk slamming. What's he going to think about next weekend? And the guy goes out and shoots a 68 on Friday, makes the cut, and then proceeds to shoot a 69 and a 70. But he, not bad considering how he started with a 76.
It's a building block. Hopefully he can take something from that in the next couple of tourneys. Hopefully he can, get a top 10, and maybe he'll sneak into a pretty good field somewhere and just wow the world, and everybody will say he's back. We'll find out.
Right. And so, that great tournament, longest running tournament out there. I had a lot of fun. I know a lot of people were kind of just not even paying attention to this one because they're all focused on the Masters. There's been so much out there about the Masters already being published, and there's all kinds of fun stuff out there being published. We are going to start tonight by doing something a little bit different. We are going to we're going to go out and we're going to talk about a few holes. And Guru's been going to set up kind of how he's setting up the model for this week, and I'm going to let him kind of go into it. But anyway, Guru, let's talk about that. How do you want to do this tonight?
Well, you could come up and do this a couple of different ways, but being the guru of craziness and fun stuff, I figured I would try to do it a little differently. So I'm going to split this over maybe tonight and tomorrow. And tonight, I figure I'd just pick a couple of holes and kind of put some thought into them, and we'll kind of hash them out a little bit and throw some stuff out there, but kind of holes that maybe illustrate maybe how to play the course, and then maybe I'll show maybe some key stats that you might want to look at when hammering down your player pool. And then maybe we'll throw up a couple names, when we get done with some of the holes, and we'll spit some random stuff out there when we talk about some of the holes, and remember this and talk about this and all that kind of cool stuff. And we'll do the same thing tomorrow. Focus more on the around the green stuff, and the you could spend a whole hour just talking about the damn greens and the stimp meter and the craziness, but this will go by pretty fast, and maybe learn a couple things, and we'll hammer it together tonight, hammer it tomorrow, and see what spits out Tuesday when we get the whole gang together, and see what we like and see what the model spits out, and look forward to having probably 2 articles of some sort out this week. So yeah, we're gonna jam you full of knowledge and information and have a good old time and hopefully cash something big.
Hey, we're even on Tuesday night show. We're going to have a special guest. We're going to have Joseph Russell from our UK team from Hammercash UK. He's going to come on and talk about the Euros and why they're going to dominate this year.
Love the cross promo, and yeah, he's been pumping me full of stuff. So I think he's got a couple of super secret long shots.
I guarantee you that
secret long shots that he likes and why he likes it. And the man's been doing his homework, and seems to watch a little golf. So yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing what he's got to say, and come on, and we'll make it a nice 5-some for Tuesday night. And yeah, it'll be a good time. So tune in.
Yeah, that's going to be a lot of fun. This is Augusta, and it is a little bit weird that we're talking about Augusta from 6 months ago, because obviously now the conditions in November are obviously a lot different than they're going to be this year, and so I'm looking forward to it. We had last year, DJ was dominant, and he crushed everybody. The interesting thing about this course, and a lot of people don't think about, is there's only 5 true water hazards, holes. And people don't think about that because when they see water, it's a true hazard. But the stimp meter, I'm told, is going to be right around 14. Last year, the average score was, 71.75. Obviously everybody knows this course. It's easy to hit the fairways, but it's critical you hit the greens. It's 7,400 yards, but it's actually a little bit longer than that. But from what I understand, and I've heard other people talk about this, the fairways are cut in such a way that it plays a lot longer than it really is. They cut it at some kind of angle where you don't get as much run on the ball. Pro, what do you think? What do you know about that?
Yeah, so to an extent, they tend to cut the fairways in one angle to where the grain's back against you, which kind of somewhat prevents getting a lot of run out on the shots. So, for example, most people are just back and forth cutting or cross cutting, as you've seen. But Augusta does everything different. As like you said, yes, the fairways are pretty wide open. But the golf course, it has a little bit of everything. That's why the number that it plays. And for you who's been there, I mean, the undulations on this golf course and the changes you don't take into account on television, that's what makes it so ridiculous. Because a lot of these holes, it could be 440, but it plays up a mountain. So all of a sudden,
you can't appreciate it on TV.
Right.
On TV, you cannot understand how it looks versus being there.
Yep.
I mean, it's crazy.
So Yeah, Augusta does it different, but Augusta also has the top end everything, right? Like the sub air system they have, which is like millions of dollars that basically sucks up rain, and it's just incredible stuff they have out there. It's why it's the heavens of golf.
Right. And all Falcon Day, it's funny. He wrote, "You can't appreciate the elevation changes on TV," right when I was saying that. And 18 is insane. Yeah. We are going to go into that. Let's go ahead and jump into that. Let's start talking about, let's talk about hole 3, Guru.
So I like number 3, and I'll tell you why I like number 3. So it's a par 4 and it plays 350, but McKenzie, he designed the course with Bobby Jones, and he thought it was like one of the most perfect holes out there. And over time, that's the one hole that they've really never touched, just because he thought it was, pretty perfect. So being a Scotsman in background, it's one of those pure just drive and pitch. So, you get it close, you try to find the right spot, and you just kind of pitch it on there. So I'm going to defer to Drew for a second. So, would you sum it up kind of the same way? Like try to get it close and pitch it?
So this hole is so intriguing to me because this is like a perfect par 4. As you alluded to, it gives players multiple options. So it's about 280 to clear the fairway bunkers on the left. However, the problem with the hole is anything short comes all the way back to your feet.
Right.
Even if you hit it up to Bryson land. Now, if conditions are correct, Bryson there's multiple players that could probably get it to this green. The problem with the green is it slopes back to front. And you're hitting your second shot up the hill, so it's hard to stop the ball. The beauty of this hole, in my opinion, Nick, is the green complex itself is just ridiculous. And this is why this is a super fun par 3 or par 4, because depending on where the flag's at is how you have to play it.
Right.
But you're 100% right with what you're saying. It's a cool hole just because even in a major championship, you can bomb it up front left of the green and you can still hit a shot where the ball's directly back by your feet because the green is so narrow and shallow that it's just hard to stop a ball, especially if you hit a guy hits it to 70 yards. It's extremely difficult for a 65, 70 yard shot to create enough spin and enough speed to hold the green. And that's why it makes people look silly and it's fun to watch, but you can also make birdie if you're in the correct position.
Yeah, I'm glad you said that because that false front is very hard to realize what's going on there. And people are like, what the hell? Why don't they it's so hard to see and judge unless you're there. That is a tremendous false front up there. And so like you said, depends on where the pin placement is. If that pin placement is back, you got a lot better shot there. But man, it's a fun hole. It's a fun hole. What's Bryson gonna do on this hole?
Smash driver all day.
Yeah, he'll green and 1 for sure, and hopefully eagle it and take advantage of it. I think this will be the revenge of Bryson, honestly, but we'll find out come Tuesday when everything's done. So my question is, the guys that have scored 8. All right, so I looked up and it said 8 is the worst score on this hole. How the hell do you get 8 on this hole? Is it just because you put your tee shot in the wrong place, or did they just like 4-putt the green? I mean, what do you think? I didn't bother to look it up.
No, so the other thing is in certain pin locations, if you get above the hole, you can easily 3-putt this green. And I can almost guarantee you that what happened in those holes, those people that made 8 hit it short left, rolled all the way back down to their feet, rolled all the way down to their feet again, probably hit it over the green, and then and then 3-putted at that point. It's so just I would just think they just kept chipping it, and it's literally that big of a slope in the front left, which is why. And it's so the thing is, think about this: it's like 12 feet above your head is what you're trying to chip onto. So first of all, you're getting no spin when it's that high, and then when you hit on top of it, you can't really stop it because the green runs like this, and it's one of those that I could see just somebody spending like just 40 minutes trying to get it up.
Just picking up the ball and moving on. Like I said, I think it mostly depends on pin placement. If that pin placement is up there, yeah, you got it. Yeah, it's crazy.
But that's the only way, Nick. That's going to be the only way.
I realize it's more short game and I'm jumping ahead, but so it sounds like this whole play something like they had at the concession with those greens. I remember some of those crazy chips and putts and things. Just you're on one side, went off the other. You come back the other side, and you go off another side, and it takes you 4 chances to get in. So very concession like in that sense.
Yep, and it's the damn green doing this to you. It's so hard to stop it, and that's why you will see guys elect to lay back. And that's the only reason you would see guys like, because let's be honest, a 280 carry, which is what you can clear those 4 bunkers on the left with, everybody's got that in the bag at this point, on the tour. So, but the problem is you get down into where you have to be on the right-hand side, but then if the pin's on the right, it's kind of like playing just strategy golf on that hole. You look at a par 4 that's 350 yards. It plays over par. I mean, not much over par, but it plays over par. But you would think with these guys, that would be a birdie hole. Sometimes it based off your tee shot, it turns into make par and run off the green.
So are you going to try to drive it, or are you going to like Zach Johnson it and try to just, lay up at 250 or something and leave yourself with a better second shot in?
So I think for what you'll see is Sunday's pin's the hardest pin. So the hardest pin on the green is going to be the front left pin for kind of the reasons that we talked about, is because if you miss anything short left, you're just down the hill. And if you miss anything long left of the green, it's a miserable up and down. So that Sunday pin, more than likely, you're going to see guys tend to lay back further on Sunday, in my opinion. The most susceptible pin location is the back right. It's the flattest part of the green. So you can get something that'll spin up there and stop, and it'll have a relatively a relatively easy putt. But I think pretty much every day you're going to see guys just hammer it and rely on their wedge game. Mostly it might not be the best strategy for that player, but we're in the era of just hit it, find it, and let's figure it out. But Augusta it's beautiful in that way, because if you know the green complexions and you know what you're doing around the greens, you got Bernhard Longers and Fred Couples and guys that are competing here well into the, you know what I mean? But I think for the most part, you see everybody just going bombs loose on 3. But that pin location front left on Sunday is a doozy.
All right, so somebody with a little length, somebody that can maybe score on a par 4, and then maybe if you're looking at a prox bucket, if you're going to clear the bunker at 280, so then you're going to leave yourself something in that 50 to 75 range, maybe 50 to 100, or if you're just looping it in, you focus on that 50 to 125. All right, I can buy that.
And the further back, I think so when they play the pin back left and they play the pin back right, those are going to be the days you see the most birdies, because it gives the guys enough green to stop the ball and get it to those hole locations. The back left one's harder to make birdies just because it's way more undulated and it's hard to get a flat putt up there. But I 100% agree with what you're saying.
All right. So the next one I thought interesting was, number 4, just right up the road. So
240-yard par 3 with no fairway.
Yeah, so the other thing which is cool about these holes, they'll have the cool names. And so this one, being the flowering crabapple now, I know it used to be the palm, but I think there's still a palm or two on the course and the hole, which is kind of interesting. So I think it's cool they went from, the palm to the flowering crabapple. I don't even really know what a crabapple is. I kind of still like calling it a palm, especially if there's one on the course, but, we'll go from there. So seems like the tee box would play a little bit of a part in what you do here. And right. So if it's a little closer, maybe you go for it. If it's a little further back, maybe you take a long iron.
Yeah, you're 100% right. This whole, and especially from what I've read, the conditions in April tend to be a little bit more firm than they were in October. I've heard the guys say the course is playing way quicker than it did in October. This is a hard one, because you're right. There'll be a day that they move the tee box up to like 180, 185, and they make this manageable. The problem with this hole is there's no bailout, right? So you're playing a long iron to a hybrid if you're anywhere in the back of the 240 range, the 220. I mean, some of these guys are going to be hitting in 6 irons, 5 irons, but
right.
those are your DJ guys, right? But the problem is anything over that bunker, you have to be able to launch the ball so high in order to hold this green. And then if you get offline on either way, depending on where the flag's on the right and you miss right, you're dead. Sometimes that front bunker's okay, But the only thing about 4 that makes it crazy is there's no bailout. You have to hit the shot. You can try to run it up through the tight little alley there is, but it's tough. So there's nearly no bailout. But 100% to your credit here, when you move the tees up to say 185, it becomes a green way more susceptible to holding a golf ball where you want it to, because you're able to launch the ball up in the air and control your trajectory a little bit more than you can with a 4 or 3 iron or a hybrid.
So you've got some crazy crosswinds, and I noticed you talked about high ball flight. So how does the high ball flight kind of factor into the whole wind perspective, we'll say?
This is one of those holes too at Augusta that swirls, and you can't really pick up the wind. It's in one of those, you kind of have to trust it. The one thing that you have to know is you got to kind of feel what the wind's doing on certain holes all day long, because you get into these swirling locations, because Augusta's basically just a bunch of giant fucking pines, in beauty that's just hidden. But that's the hardest thing, is to pull the right club, because on that hole, if you go over the green, it's dead. It literally, you can go all the way back into the trees. It's very difficult, if there's any wind on that hole, to pull the right club. And again, there's been times that I've seen guys hit like punch drivers or 3-woods depending on the wind. It just makes it a bitch of a par 3. But there will be a day that like you said, they'll play the tee up, and it'll be when they have probably the pin location right over the bunker, or it more than likely it's going to be right over the bunker, because it gives the only opportunity for the players to be able to stop the ball close to that pin location. It's kind of the only way you could have it there. Guys will make birdies on that hole, but the other days it's try to make 3 and get the hell out of that hole. It's really what it comes down to.
So if you can steal one during the 4 rounds, you're doing good. Otherwise, just try not to screw it up. So, all right. So
get your par and be happy.
Take the par. So avoid the bogey.
And that's going to be a theme as we go through every hole. It seems like the Masters has become, that's what it's become. Score on your par 5s and sneak a few par 4s and make pars on 3s, and that's your chance to win. I'm going to evaluate par 5s big time, in my my model, and I know you are too.
Yeah.
So, but hey, what about hole number 7? That's the one I want to hear you guys talk about. The 450 par 4, the narrowing of the fairway. What do you think about that hole?
So, touching back for a second. So, the guy with the worst hole on or score on record is our good friend Mr. Heinrich Stenson. He scored 8 in 2001. So, hey. Kudos to Heinrich for holding another record that we don't like. All right, so 7, the Pompous.
He was probably so pissed too, because the Iceman runs hot. Henrik runs hot. He was probably not having himself a good day.
You know what? He'll never be on our show. He'll never agree to come on our show because of you.
He's got some good information out there, like on if you kind of look up some of the stuff I was reading, some of them on how to play the course and how to play, some of the holes. Like, he knows what to do. I just don't know if he just hit it right, was having a bad day, didn't get enough sleep. I have no idea whatsoever, but I was stunned to learn that he had the record of the 8 on the hole. All right, so let's see really quick. Also 8 on this hole here, but. So you have to kind of keep it between that really narrow chute of pine trees, right? So, you want to drive it. You want to keep it straight. It seems like kind of scary almost teeing off, right? You almost want to kind of close your eyes, rip, and hopefully keep it straight, and just pray that if you don't, land where you need to, you're in a pretty good spot. And for the most part, you can probably get out of that second spot okay.
It's a cool hole to me, because the tee shot is claustrophobic as hell. Exactly to your point. There's no aim point off the tee, right? It's a narrow chute of trees. And the minute you get any bit offline, which this is the beauty of the hole, it's surrounded by 5 bunkers. There's zero ability to run the ball up to the green. You have to be able to fly it. The minute you get any bit offline, you have no shot to get to the green, because you're just basically trying to hit it in the correct bunker based off the pin. That's what makes it so. And when you stand on that tee box, and you look down, again, guys like to work it off a bunker or work it off something. The dead straight holes, and it's claustrophobic. It's not overly long at, what's 7 at 450.
Yeah.
But again, that tee shot is imperative. If you get the ball in the fairway, the reason I like this hole is because there's a couple of hole locations where they're kind of in a bowl, and you can get a little momentum and juice going on this hole. So not that it's not one of the harder holes, but this hole is to touch on any. We talked how there's a lot of opportunities to kind of spray the ball and be okay on this golf course. This is not one of them. The minute you hit it offline here, you're walking away with more than likely bogey because, again, it is protected with bunkers, is as good as any hole. And it's slightly up the hill, too. So, again, it makes controlling the trajectory and the spin on the ball imperative.
So it's slightly left of center, right? Because it's kind of got that little slight left to right kind of curl to it.
Yes. So, but the tee shot's just dead down this. But the green itself has a complex that's higher up on the left, and it allows for a little bit. So that front right pin is just a good time. If you go to Augusta, you want to see some birdies, sit on 7, because you'll also see some fun things. Because guys try over and over to play the hero play out of the bunker, and it's like. You're out of the trees. You just got to try to scrape it into the front bunker, any of the front bunkers, depending on the wind, and try to make your par. And that's why it's a cool hole, because the tee shot is imperative, and it's unlike the other holes that we say you kind of can hit it anywhere. You're offline. You're looking at 5.
You would think 5 would be the worst here, right? I mean, assuming you don't do something just categorically just unheard of.
Correct. So you would think, in theory, you hit it in the shit, you punch out. You wedge your 9-iron on, you 2-putt, you make your 5, you get out of town. However, what happens is if they put that pin up in the back left corner, any bit of spin, it's kind of like 9. If you've seen 9 does this from back to front. And if the guys get too much zip on it and the damn thing goes 80 yards down the hill. It's similar to that when that back left plateau, if you get any sort of spin on the ball, and it can come all the way back and give you fits. But you're right. You should make 5 and get out of here. It's just it can be somewhat of a fun hole when you go down and get down to the front 9. It's kind of a forgotten hole, but it's a claustrophobic one for sure off the tee.
So then, I'm not sure what stat's going to qualify for. What was the term you used? Oh God, you said it so beautifully. The tee shot, not catastrophic. Oh, damn it.
Claustrophobic.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I'm not sure what stat to use for claustrophobic off the tee, but, it sounds like then from just talking it out really fast, you'd want to make sure that, your tee shot's in a pretty good spot. It's probably more important for your second shot, but then really the things to take away from here would be you probably want to have some semblance of a sand game because there's a decent shot. You may end up in one of the front bunkers and not be afraid of it, I suppose. So you want to be able to play out of it, get it, up and down in 2 and, call it a day and move on.
Yeah, and I expect to see multiple 3-woods off the tee here. 450 you don't necessarily have to hit driver, but you're 100% right. And that's going to be something that we're going to touch on to nauseum over these next few days. Is
Guru?
Everything comes down to the greens here, and what we do around them. And this is a good example. Around the green, short game, bunker play is what's going to get you in and out of par here if you don't hit the fairway.
Guru, the fact that we are for this week, we're going over every individual hole and the strengths and weaknesses on how to approach that hole. Are you possibly, without us even really knowing about it, looking at creating a model by hole and then aggregating all? Is that up your sleeve?
Something like that. I was trying to.
It's starting to come into vision here for me.
Starting to kind of figure out, if you go hole by hole, the couple of factors, you'd need, and then just kind of see how many times you use it, and then kind of spit it back out and see how it ranks out. So yeah, I'm kind of through it now. I mean, it'll kind of be hidden, but there's enough, especially if you go to the PGA website and use all 150 some odd things there. But yeah, if you play enough there to work out, I think we were pretty close with November. But the nice thing about November is I'm not saying to discredit it or to not use it because, DJ won fair and square. But I don't normally tout other people's stuff. But, Rick Rungood had a pretty good article out about, November and, why to kind of look at it through a second lens and a different set of eyes. And, the long and short of it is it's November. It's when they didn't normally play and all kind of records got blown. And, combination of the the rain the night before, the fact it was November, and just, I don't know. I'm kind of discrediting some of it. I'm kind of going back more towards, 19 and playing everything behind. And I think this will play more. I don't know. If anything comes close to DJ this year, I would be completely and utterly surprised. I think they will go the other extreme. I think this thing will play hard as hell. I think that the cut will be some stupid number, and it's just the top 50 in the ties, and I'm sure that number will be really small, and the bottom feeders won't be even close. And so I think you need to score early and just hopefully par out the rest of the way, and hopefully you can be the last man standing, because it's going to be in the 80s. It'll be hot. Greens will be fast, firm. I don't think there's much weather. Maybe there's a touch of wind here or there, and pray to God your nerves don't get you. But that's a conversation for the rest of today, tomorrow, and Tuesday. Don't want to harp on that. But yes, long answer to your short question is I'm going to try to go hole by hole and try to figure out how many times something comes up, weight it that way, and see what spits out.
Yeah, I put a tweet out early last week about DJ, and I know we're going to talk about DJ and why he won and how he won, and what do you think is going to contribute to him or anybody else winning this year. And in that gaining 12.6 greens in regulation versus the field was absolutely spectacular. And then also gaining nearly 6 against the field in good drives and gaining 5 fairways over the field also was just outstanding. And so, I can't wait. I can't wait to hear all the new things that you're putting into the model this week based on, I know you've been working on this for quite a while. But to finish on that tweet, Abraham Answer, it was his first time playing the track last year, and he also gained 5.7 in good drives and 5 fairways, and he was only 4 behind in greens in regulation with 8.6. He was second in the field in those 3 categories his first time around, and he came in 13th. Now, we all know he's not a long ball hitter, but I found that pretty interesting, especially at 66 to 1. So I think it's going to be real interesting to see how you align the stats and the metrics this week versus historical and current form. It's going to be fun to watch.
If he does anything like he did, he should definitely be a player. I mean, that's I wouldn't have thought like a first-time guy would have just kicked as much tail as he did. And if he could do anything like that again, especially with it playing harder, and I'd be more likely to see him sustaining the pace that he made this go round than maybe, the blistering pace that DJ set, but we'll get into it. But yeah, I'm looking forward to. Stay tuned. It's coming.
This is so much fun. Hey, you want to talk about a few more holes tonight and then finish teasing out for
Sure.
a reminder for everybody who's watching right now, we're going to be doing a show tomorrow night and our main big show on Tuesday night where we're going to have special guests and all that kind of stuff. So, but let's go ahead and jump into hole number 10, and then we'll go into Amen Corner.
So, number 10, Danny Lee. Yeah, shot a 9. God bless Danny Lee. All I can say.
Doesn't surprise me, by the way. I could see Danny Lee throwing up a 9-piece.
Hey, you guys need to shut up on Danny Lee. I picked him to have a good tournament this past week, man, and he let me down.
Yeah. I mean, Danny Lee, listen, that was bold of you.
Hey, no guts, no glory, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Amen, brother. Amen.
Amen.
So, historically, this is the toughest hole in the whole entire course. And so, it's a downhill dogleg to the left, right? So it seems like your tee shot needs to be kind of aggressive. The green's elevated a little bit. What else can I tell you here? So it's one of those, you think it might be a little longer than it is, right? So it seems like, if it seems like you've got a 120 left with your second shot, it's 120. It may look like 140, it may look like 100, but trust the yardage, right? And I think this is the one that Bubba ended up in the pine straw and had that crazy hook, that 40-yard.
No, that was on 13, wasn't it?
Nope, that was on 10.
That was on 10?
And the playoff, yeah.
Okay.
So you catch the slope, right? And play into it. So I mean, you hit a driver, and then you try to position yourself with a good long iron and see if you can get it on there, or would you lay up a little shorter?
Yeah, no, this is one of my favorite holes. I could talk about the hole forever. So the tee shot, as you would think, the hole's 505 yards. It's actually the amount of downhill this hole is incredible. You will see a majority of players hit 3-wood here, just because one of the other reasons it's easier to turn a 3-wood over right to left than it is a driver. So, and you're also getting 50 yards or more of roll on this fairway. For me, the second shot's where everything matters because the fairway is not flat at all. There's a lot of uphill lies on this fairway, which puts the ball above your feet, which promotes a right to left ball flight. So when we talk about the second shot, you look at the green complex here, and it's basically a right to left tilt like this. The problem is anywhere left, you're off the face of the earth, right? You fall all the way down to false front, all the way down to the bottom. Now, you get up to the right. If the pin is on the right or anywhere, you have 0% chance to stop the ball on the green. So depending on where the flag is, this is one of the more important shots heading into the back nine, because if you miss this anywhere left, you are going to be looking at a 30-yard shot back up the hill to this green. And if you miss it right on Saturday's hole location, which is back right, there's a 0 chance to get it up and down. This is a fun hole because I think one of the most underrated things, and we'll get to this on another hole, is there's no flat lies at Augusta National. So when you have a lie that's the ball's way above your feet, it's just so easy to hook the ball, which causes top spins, which makes it even harder to hold a green like this. So that's where you have to know where to miss. In the past champions, the way that they play this hole, this is one of the holes where having course knowledge stands out from other holes.
Right.
Because they know I have no business shooting anywhere towards the flag. We're taking 4. We're getting the hell out of here. It's really important to be able to try to put the ball underneath the hole, which is typically to the left of the hole because of the undulation of the screen. It gives you an uphill putt, gives you a chance to make 4 and get out of there. If you can play this hole in even par for the 4 days, you're really feeling good about it.
Yeah, some of the comments, some really cool quotes as I was researching each hole. Here's some comments that I saw in Golf Magazine from some of their folks saying that this hole is, and it's funny how you described it, because everything that I'm about to say here really lives up to what you just described. One of the comments was maybe the best driving hole in golf. Watching your drive turn and disappear on the left side of the saddle is cool to watch. Beautiful, historic, incredible how far downhill it plunges. And finally, and I find this one interesting, my favorite bunker in golf, and it gets no action.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, all the guys use the bunker in the middle of the fairway out of, because it's really just a sightline bunker is to work the ball off of. I've never really seen a guy go super errant, except when we think about Rory in 2015, where he hit it into like someone's backyard. Nobody even knew people lived on Augusta. I don't even know where the hell he hit that thing. But again, it's a damn good hole.
So
it's
the precedent was set. So he hit it there in 2015. So that's why he gets a free pass for the swimming pool at the match play. I got it. Okay.
Yes, exactly. It's all coming together.
So you think it favors a left-hander on the hole then?
For a hit and driver, it does certainly.
Just for Bubba.
Yeah, but that's why I think you see a lot of right-handers that are going to hit 3-wood, because it's just naturally with equipment now easier to turn a 3-wood right to left than it is a driver. And so those guys are, and although it's over 500 yards on the card, I would say it plays more like 440. I mean, because you can hit a slot on that fairway and it'll just run. So this course in general does favor a lefty in the sense that there's holes where being able to hit a cut and control the ball and control the spin. Because the thing is, when you hit a draw, the spin's more top spin. Is where you hit a cut, the ball tends to land softer. And that's why I think left-handers around some of these holes have had an advantage over the years.
So maybe you look at somebody like Brian Harmon, maybe you look at somebody like Robert McIntyre, maybe you still play Bubba again. Or maybe you take a blind stab on Phil. Okay. I gotcha. All
yeah,
right.
and I don't think Phil is excuse me, Bubba, because I took Phil last week and it wasn't great, right? He made a 10 on that hole and we didn't talk about it. It's not a big deal. Bubba's actually, his form's been pretty decent. And I'm sure when we get to it, you can make a case, but it definitely does set up for a left-hander, which is surprising because a lot of these courses don't, or, there's many courses that don't necessarily set up for a left-hander because the architects, there's very few left-handers when it comes to right-handers. So it's basically architecturally based off that. So you don't see it a lot, but you're right. It definitely does give an advantage, and the statistics show it.
Well, let's get to Amen Corner here.
All right, so you've got your white dogwood par 4, 505 yards. The coolest thing here is the Mize chip shot in 87. I cannot tell you how many times I watched that, prepping for this. I know it's more of a, short game shot, but that thing was utterly amazing, and it holds up. And even watch him talk about it. The coolest thing I think watch him talk about it is he just kind of, over the years looked like he tried to move on from it. Now that he's getting older, he's like, man, I wish I talked about it more. So listen to him talk about it now. It's actually pretty cool. But
it is cool.
Just to be so far off with that shot and just to hit the, perfect little shot up there that just runs on down and just runs in the cup, man. I wish I was there. Like, to me, that's one of my favorite Masters.
Electric. Just screwing great. Yeah, that was electric stuff. So
it's downhill, left to right. Have that right?
Yep.
Okay. So fairways are kind of narrow.
Yeah. Yep. Yes. This is one of the holes where I could argue, and I don't want to get on a shit storm here. I could argue equipment's changed this drive a little bit, but yes, it is. It's a narrow shoot,
and
absolutely.
You want to probably take the bailout to the right most of the time. When would you?
Yeah, anything right in the second shot. You don't want anything to do with the left side of the green. However, you don't want to leave yourself where Larry Mize was either.
No.
So what are you going to hit off the tee?
Yeah, no. So you have to hit driver. I mean, you're going to see most guys hit driver. It's all to the second shot here. If you get in a little bit of trouble, what makes this really difficult is you hit it anywhere short of the green, and it has a tendency. I mean, it's kind of like sloped like right to left. Everything funnels towards the water. So even if you hit anything short, anything left, it's going to go into the water. The green, you will even run off. If you have hook spin, it will run off into the water. The hole is kind of changed, in my opinion, a little bit to the worst, just based off distance. I mean, guys were hitting 4-iron in this bad boy, long ago. Now they're hitting 6-irons. It doesn't change necessarily the difficulty of the hole because you can bail out right, but there's mounds to the right. And we saw it to hit Larry Mize. He was right at those mounds. That's a bad place to be. He did not want to be there. So you can only bail out right to an extent, but anything left of those mounds can kick you in the water. It's become an interesting hole because anything out of play, you will see guys hit in the water. But for the most part, it's never. So think of this. For a hole to stand up through time. So the average, it's never, ever played under par in any year of any Masters, right?
It's hard.
So it tests the stand of time or whatever the hell the saying is.
You find a lot of people in that bunker right behind the green?
Yeah, well, it depends. So the reason you see people over the green is because anything short, it flirts with taking that bounce into the pond. And you don't think that pond's in play to an extent to where you have to punch out and you start hitting a skinny runner up that slope. And that slope takes it into that pond like you couldn't believe. And you will see guys that have been there a million times do it. It's so hard to get it right enough because if you hit it too far right, then you're right of the mounds. You have to go over the mounds to a green that slopes away back towards the water. And that's what makes it so difficult. Another hole, you just take your 4 and just get out of there.
Absolutely. I've been to Augusta. I've been there twice, and I like to sit right there in the grandstands at Amen Corner, and we watch coming into the 10, and then we watch them tee off to 11 and tee off on 12, or 11, 12, and 13. And I'm telling you, man, those guys don't want anything to do with number 11. And you're right, a par, they're happy. They're skipping off that green.
12's my thing, so I want to go to 12 if that's cool with you guys.
Let's go to 12, man. This is the favorite. Obviously, this is probably one of the most famous holes in golf. And it's also a really bad moment
I know.
for
I know. That's where I was just going to start with the rib because that's a whole lot of fun. So
the Spieth.
Yeah. Do you want to talk about Spieth in 2016, man? Like, do you want to just go with it, man? Come on.
Yeah.
All right. Go for it.
I mean, he made 7, I believe. He had a 5-shot lead heading into the back 9, bogey 10, bogey 11, made 7 on 13 or 12 rather. This hole has been known to ruin and destroy tournaments. It's just the way it is. You could say that it destroyed Spieth for a certain amount of time. He did win a British
the beginning of
afterwards.
that whole thing.
Yeah, he won a British afterwards. But, I mean, taking a 5-shot lead into the back at Augusta. Danny Willett, by the way, deserves to give his damn green jacket back. It's ridiculous he has one. I mean, Jordan Spieth gave him in 2016, but it's a hole that can do it to you. The beauty of the hole, it's a 9 or 8 iron or pitching wedge for these guys. What the X factor is, and it always has been, is the wind. You can't judge it. It swirls. The green is so narrow from front to back. I mean, you're talking about 10 to 15 paces. I mean, there's nowhere to land the ball, and it's super wide. You see guys go over the green. Anything short of the green, we know that shave slope is going into the water. I mean, let's throw it back to the 2019 Masters. I mean, Tiger Woods won the tournament on that hole. And Jack Nicklaus and Tiger Woods have said forever, hit the ball over the middle of the bunker every single day, make 3, and get out of there. You saw Finau. You saw all them boys. You saw Molinari, Koepka, everybody. You put it in the drink on 12. And again, it's an 8 or 9 iron. And it's like, so what's the big deal here? It's the fact that the swirling winds, it's so hard to pick a club here because you get over the green, it's tough too. You would take being in that bunker over a lot of other things on this hole.
Oh, sure.
And those guys lost the tournament. Spieth lost the tournament. I mean, Tiger just hit it over the bunker, like they say, hit it over the bunker 4 times and make your par and get out of here. It's a hole that, in my mind, PGA Tour players think and see, I'm hitting a 9 iron into this, and they don't understand the magnitude of where they're at or what they're doing. This is 12 at Augusta. This is, in their mind, I have a 9 or an 8 iron in my hand. I'm taking dead aim all the time. I'm a PGA Tour player. This is what I do.
But I see the target. I'm going to hit the target.
Right. On this hole, you take your medicine and you just move on. But the swirling winds on this hole have been for hundreds of years. That has been the MO of the 12. And it's why it makes it so compelling, because you look at it and you're like, hey, there's nothing to this except you only have 15 paces to hit it on. And everywhere else is kind of trouble, even though it looks kind of like a friendly, beautiful little par 3 in the tall pines of Augusta, Georgia.
You know, most people don't know that creek is concrete lined.
I didn't know that for the longest time either. And that's 12 behind me too. Yeah. Like you said, it looks so nice, it looks so pretty, it looks so friendly. And then you get up there and, you know, your mind starts doing stuff, the winds start picking up, and then you screw up and you end up shooting a 13 like Tom Weiskopf.
Yeah.
Or you get blessed like Freddie Couples and, you know, you go dead aim and your ball stops and, you know, you're managed to, you know, win the Masters. So take your pick.
And when you're there, you realize how high these guys have to hit that ball to try to get it to land soft. And that's when the wind screws with them. And it's crazy to watch in person. It is absolutely crazy. And you're thinking, this looks easy. It looks easy. It's
just one of those holes.
It's an 8. It's a 7 iron. You know,
you want to hit a bucket of balls. You just want to lay down a bucket of balls,
right,
and just hit shots into 12 into the sunset. Man, that's peak. That's peak golf right there.
Yeah. Yeah, it's amazing. I just going through this and looking at these holes, and it's just, oh God, I don't know. I'm not gonna guess another week where I'm not gonna get anything done.
Us either, man. Us either.
And
then
so,
you know,
let's wrap up with 13.
From 12 comes to 13. You know, the Azalea. You know, and backstory there, you know, the original, you know, Belgians that actually own the course, you know, they came over and bought it in the 1850s, and, you know, he turned it into a nursery, and then, you know, they bought some imported flowers and stuff. But technically the first guy to really mass produce azaleas and kind of responsible for it, at least according to the Augustans, was the guy that, you know, started the nursery and owned the course. So part of the, you know, history there, which is pretty cool. And then, you know, the father died in the, you know, 1910s, and then, you know, they bought it in the 30s for the $70,000 or whatever. Pretty cool. So creek in the front, go for 2, maybe.
Yeah. This is probably the most interesting, intriguing, talked about golf hole at Augusta National, and for multiple different reasons that are terrible or reasons that are great. Just to touch on the great things about the golf hole, the beautiful hard dogleg right to left. Anything through the fairway brings us up in the pine straw. Reminiscent of Phil, right?
That's right. It was Phil out of the pine straw that made that amazing shot. That's right.
And so, in what you're looking at for me on this, in one of the biggest factors of this hole is, again, your lie in the fairway. And here's where the holes died, right? The guys were hitting 4, 3, 5 irons into this hole. Now Bryson can hit sand wedge into it, and that's where the intrigue things come in. They have the ability to move the tee box back. They own the property. I've seen it, or they could extend it. But the way that the hole was supposed to be played was you were hitting a 4 or 5 iron off of a uphill lie, hitting a draw, making it very difficult to stop the ball on the screen. Now you got guys hitting 8 and 9 iron. So it's taken the beauty of the hole away, in my opinion. It's not hard to stop an 8 or a 9 iron with draw spin, and you're hitting that into a par 5. It was designed one way. It's played a different way. It has to change. 13 is one of the best holes on the golf course. But when Bryson goes beef ham on us and puts it to 110 yards out, I'm going to be pissed about it. And it's just because it's not the way that they designed the hole. And that can go into distance. You think the ball, this can go into anything. It shouldn't be like that. It shouldn't be like that. It's such a perfect hole. The green's fantastic. Rays Creek should be what Rays Creek was, where it draws balls into it because guys cannot. You're hitting 4 and 5 irons in, not 9 and 8 irons. It's frustrating to me.
Well, I'm gonna go ahead and read a couple of these quotes for this hole because it's just they're so good. First of all, it's a 510-yard par 5. Here's some of the comments I really like. Best short par 5 in the world. That's one of them. The most fun hole where anything can happen. The ultimate daring hole. And then I like this one. Despite equipment advances, the hole still gets into a good player's head. And the final one is the most beautiful strategic hole in golf. Those are some pretty heavy quotes for that hole.
But you've got that risk reward factor there, and that seems to be a thought in everybody's head. And, do you go for it? Do you not? And especially come, where you're positioned on Sunday. So that's an interesting thing. But again, you've got to have some, par 5 chops. Again, we keep talking about the high ball flight so that, depending how you look at it, the distance to apex is actually in pretty good stat. I think it'll hold up. Look for some guys that are, done well, in some wind, not necessarily saying the wind will be there, but you figure if they can drive the ball, have a little bit of control and actually can play a little bit in some wind, they're really not going to be bothered by it. And then the thing that it's come up a couple of times is actually knowledge of the pins, knowledge of the course, stuff like that. So it's one of the few places that course history actually plays a pretty significant part, I think, because it's really tough to get it right the first time through. I think you could do pretty well the second time through, but there's going to be that, one round, not to say people haven't practiced on here or whatnot, but, I think you really need one full tournament condition pass through to really have an idea of what to do or where you wish you could have a do-over, so to speak. That's why I think the second and third timers usually improve pretty dramatically over the first timer. But eventually all trends are meant to be broken. So at some point there's going to be a first timer that comes in and whips this course around. And as Drew keeps harping on with the technological advances in the equipment and balls and stuff like that, it's probably going to happen sooner rather than later. But in the meantime, here's hoping the course bites back a little bit and slows some of that down. But we'll find out if this is the year.
I think it is going to bite back a little bit this year. I think they want it to, and usually they get what they want, right?
Oh,
I think it'll be revenge of the course gatekeepers after the beating they took for round 1 last year, for sure.
Augusta's not going to be. It's not going to be put out there like that. Augusta National doesn't play around. They're not gonna look at what DJ did and say we're going to have that happen again. There's 0% chance that happens again, at least in the near future. And Augusta's a harder golf course in April than it is in October. It's just the way it is. So, I mean, the outside of even doing anything to trick the course up, just based off the time of year and the conditions, it's going to be more difficult, here next week.
Well, guys, go ahead, Guru.
I was just going to say, there's a quick little snapshot, cut some of the holes we liked on the front, some of the holes we liked on the back, throughout some stats, throughout some things, kind of maybe look for, and then, we'll attack a few more tomorrow night, look at the short game, and then we'll piece it all together come Tuesday and tell you who we like and, spit out some good stuff from the model and whatnot. We'll have a good time. But here's hoping you do too.
I love that, and I love the fact that we're going to actually almost rank every hole by player and then aggregate it all. It's just there's a whole lot of things that we're going to put into this model, guys, and I can't wait for you guys to tune in Tuesday night. But tomorrow night we're back 9:00 Eastern. Get on there. We're going to share a lot more knowledge about each hole and some of the players and the tendencies for those players for each hole, and continue on our path to our ultimate model for Tuesday night. Any as you both you guys are grinding right now, any sneaky early value picks you see you like that you want to share, or maybe wait? I've got one really, really, really sneaky one that I really like that is in the lower 6K range.
To be honest with you, I tend to get influenced when I peak, right? So I'm trying to just do the deep dive and the grind and not just have some name in my head, but kind of the ideas, right? So, if I have this imaginary profile of what I'm looking for, then hopefully I can land on a guy that I think fits it, or at least come pretty close. That's usually how the model works. I come up with a profile, find a guy, and then, hammer him down, and hopefully he wins. And as we've done with the 7 out of 11, we've been doing okay with some guys.
We've done pretty good, and I'm so excited about this week. I just for fun,
sure.
I'm going to throw up my name. It's a guy that I can't wait to hear how you break it down. I'm basically
it's any name besides Jordan Spieth. It's not the winner.
Okay, well, then it's $6,400. It's not going to be Jordan Spieth, but his name is Lanto Griffin, and I think he's built for this kind of course. And I've just got some interesting little numbers here, and I'll share them on Tuesday night. But that's my little teaser for Tuesday night and tomorrow night. So anyway, any final thoughts, Pro?
No, hey, that was a lot of fun. Lot of fun. I'm looking forward to Masters Week. I just love like the live from the Masters music, even like on the Golf Channel. Like when I hear it, I'm like,
steal it for this podcast.
Let's go! It just hits right, boys. It's Masters Week coming up. And I'm going to listen to David Duval and Brandel Chambly talk about shit that I can't comprehend. And that's when we're in full Masters season.
That's awesome. Guru, get back to work.
Yes, sir.
And
the lab awaits.
We'll see you guys tomorrow night at 9:00. We'll go through the rest of the course and start breaking some things down for you guys. So, guys, please like, comment, subscribe. Let us know how we're doing on this show, and share it. Share it with your friends. Share it on Twitter. Share it on Facebook. Wherever you're at. We're trying to grow, and the only way to do that is from all of you guys who are being so loyal to us. We really appreciate you. We love you. We're grateful for you. And we'll see you guys, tomorrow night at 9:00? Peace out, guys.
Did you get all that? If not, make sure you head over to hammercast.com, subscribe, and join the Hammer Nation. Until next time, keep grinding.